taking my vote.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
What is up, everybody? Coming off of a massive win last night. You know, Athena, I was thinking about you when I was penning that out. I'm like, how do I do this eloquently? Balanced beam, balanced beam, because it was. And we're going to talk more about that here as the show goes along, because I think it's Doug Christie's biggest test coming down this stretch, because you have two polar opposite teams within one. You've got this team that wants to hit first. You've got this team that wants to get down on the floor, play gritty, mix it up. They don't mind playing a little bit dirty. And then you've got another side of the team, and I'm not knocking that side of the team. They're just more skilled. They're more finessed. They're more calculated, right? Stuff you can't teach. See, like in both of those categories, you can't teach. It's ingrained in you. If you're that defensive player that just loves mixing it up, like Keon Ellis, his anticipation in passing lanes is incredible, especially for somebody that's undrafted. But, you know, it's either in you or it's not. When there's a loose ball on the ground, if it's in you, you're diving. Like, you're not giving it a second thought. And nothing against those that do give it a thought, because maybe they're more valuable in different ways. You got to make sure you stay healthy as well. But it's so interesting because you can't play everybody, just as Doug Christie says, Jerry Reynolds says, this is not Little League. You cannot play everybody, but what's the middle look like? So I want to get some of that input from you. We'll go over the game. Devin Carter, by far his best game as a King. A lot of confidence flowing through that young man right now. I mean, he was always aggressive. If you look back at his first minutes when he got his first time actually against the Memphis Grizzlies earlier this season, he came out aggressive. Now, offense always is going to be the work. That's where he's going to have to improve to a degree. But nonetheless, the time in Stockton really helped him. I'm sorry, did you guys hear that? For whatever reason, my personal MacBook, I think I get the dings when I get messages. Maybe you guys hear it, or maybe it's just me. Who knows? We'll work on it. But hey, we've got a full show. By the way, you got a Kings game tonight. You got the Bulls in town. All indications are Zach LaVine's going to be good to go. He was in the locker room after last night's game, so that is a good sign. He missed it due to personal reasons. Jake LaRavia, he is still questionable for this one. So does tonight, if the Kings lose this one, diminish last night by any means? Question for you. Let me know in the chat. Want to hear from all of you as well. You can call the show, get up in here on the chat. And last night on the post-game show, we got into some cool moments. Rajan, a 10-year-old, called the show, getting ready to turn 11 on, I believe, March 24th, March 25th. And it led into some stories that Grant told. It led into a story that I told. And so I've got some extra audio from you. Or for you back from 2017. I'm going to share that story again, but a really good post-game show last night. And then, of course, hey, NCAA tournament, did you do your brackets? Are you in our bracket challenge? Are you tracking the games? Wall-to-wall basketball, arguably the best weekend of the year when it comes to basketball. So all that and more, and hopefully a lot of you on this show. Let's get into it. And by the way, we've got full coverage tonight, as always, beginning with the pregame 6:15. We'll be hitting it, and then halftime, Jerry joins us. Love having Jerry on. I think we were pretty close with our scores last night. I did not actually know. I was not close. I did not see the Kings winning that game. I thought Cleveland was going to pull away, but I'll explain to you why Cleveland didn't pull away and why last night was the fact that you were without guys was not the surprising part. The surprising part to me was the Kings took away the things that Cleveland does best. Cleveland's the best basketball team in the NBA. So incredible. It's just, it could be a country song. What is it? Toby Keith, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. It's just the NBA for you. Gotta love it. So let's get into it. Also, post game, don't forget, fun show. We'll be bringing you back to back coverage, hopefully talking about another beam. Hell, I said yesterday or 2 days ago, could the Kings have a 4-3 homestand? They're on their way. They've won their first two. See if they can get their third tonight. Welcome in to the Kings Court here on If You Don't Like That.
Late nights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now. Kings and I.
Love seeing that beam. Love seeing this team come together, get a big victory. Welcome in, balanced beam last night for your Sacramento Kings. You know, I like to think that we give you educated opinions. We give you educated information about this team. And one of the numbers we always preach is 28 assists. The Kings need 28 assists to win a basketball game because of the style they play. They had 28 on the dot last night. They will need 28 more tonight to beat Chicago. They should be able to get more than that against Chicago. And where are all you at? Those of you that are saying, burn it down! I get that it's only one game. I get that it's one game. But if you look at the roster construction, there's some pieces. There's some pieces that work universally. But great shot making last night for this team. 123-119, the final score. Absolute highlight dunk. Huge highlight dunk by Devin Carter. Incredible stuff. I actually talked to just got to know this guy by chance. So you guys know I had been traveling, and he works at the front desk at one of the hotels that I was staying at, and huge Kings fan. He what ended up happening? He's a huge Kings fan. He watches the programming, watches the channel, and he hit me up and he's like, dude, I got tickets to the Cleveland game. I'm taking all my buddies. It's my gift to my buddies. I'm like, are you dressing in black? Do you not like your friends? You're taking them to the Cleveland game? And it ended up being one of the best games of the season. I had to hit him up last night. He was giving me the inside details about just what it was like in the arena. And it just goes to show that you can have nice plays, you can have fancy threes, you can have cool passes, but it's the little things. It's the hustle. It's getting on the floor. It's getting dirty. It's defense to offense. Sacramento fans are just built different. Sacramento fans love that. That is like crack for Sacramento basketball fans. At least this Sacramento basketball fan, that is what gets me going. So they were pumped up. They said the building was very energized. And tonight, the Bulls roll into town. The Bulls, look, not a great team, under 500. Played a little bit of better basketball as of late. It's the first time Zach LaVine will get to play his old team. And Old Red, Kevin Huerter, rolls into Sacktown. Why are we not talking about whether Kevin's going to get booed or not? Is Kevin going to get a tribute video? Why is this not taking up 3 hours of our airways? Why is this not taking up a week of programming? But no, seriously, Kevin's been playing good basketball. Looking forward to seeing him back. As we said at the top, Jake LaRabia is still questionable with an illness. Stay the hell away from the team if you are sick. You don't want that running through the locker room during this homestand, but we'll see if he'll be able to give it a go. Definitely be nice to have some fresh legs with Jake and some changes. Credit to Sean Cunningham for this. To the national television schedule, the Kings are getting picked up on a couple more NBA TV games. So there you go. A few more opportunities for the nation to see this basketball team. But to our main story, Kings and the Cavs last night, signature win. Many people putting it above Boston, some people putting it under Boston. Where do you put it? I don't really care. It was a great win. It goes under the same column. I'm not here to rank wins. Now, we have fun with Napes about that, like Napes' signature win, because he's going to say, well, they didn't have this guy. But you couldn't do that last night. And I posed a question on the post-game show last night that I'm going to pose to all of you again. Do you think the Kings win that game last night if Zach LaVine plays? And I mean that with all due respect to Zach LaVine and his talents, but right back to this title of the show, balanced beam. You saw a team last night that had a lot more ball movement. And I understand that that doesn't solely fall on the shoulders of Zach LaVine. That doesn't mean if Zach plays, the ball moves less and it's his fault. It's just less shots for everybody else. Those shots have to be distributed in other places. And I look at the third quarter last night. The third quarter is absolutely where the Sacramento Kings won this game. And the fact that they were able to get through that first quarter blew me away as well. You do not see many first quarters like that from the Cleveland Cavaliers. And to be fair, they were on their third game in 4 nights. So that showed they were without Darius Garland. But nonetheless, the Kings get the job done. I don't think anybody had the Kings getting that one done yesterday when we were doing this show. I know I certainly did not. So a lot to talk about. We've got audio from the players, the coaches, but let's get to all of you. Let's get you involved in the show. You guys saying hi to yourself. I love it. By the way, we have had some internet issues here in the last few days, and I don't think it's internet. I think it's my streaming laptop that's had the issue. So if I start to think we're having any type of issue, this is the sound you're going to hear.
Dong, dong, dong. Yeah.
That will be my heads up to you that my computer is frozen or something's going on. It's only happening during this show. So hopefully we don't have to hear that drop anymore today. Beautiful. John Finch says, y'all saying hi to each other. Best game, perfect timing for a big game. Yeah, the home stretch, it was ugly. It is ugly. It's a big win. It's a huge win. No matter how you cut it, it is a big win. Ryan is wrong. Bulls are damn good. Okay, PK, call the show. Tell me why the Bulls are so good. Derek DeRozan didn't hold on 16 or hold on to the ball. Derek DeRozan, PK. Derek, are you back in? Hey, KP, are you back in Mexico? Did you actually eat the scorpion this time that was in the bottle? Come on, man. Derek, what's up, dude? Couldn't win without DeMar last night. No doubt about it. There were a couple plays, and credit to Trey Lyles, credit to Devin Carter, where they did not stand around. They crashed. They were cutting, something that many of us have been asking for. And part of that is because that's in the fabric of their games. But DeMar had 4 Cavaliers on him. On one of those, it was the second to last possession before Malik Monk got fouled. 4 Cavs crashed down on DeMar, and Trey comes crashing in to get that board. Also, think about this. The Cavs are one of the better offensive rebounding teams in the league. The Kings were +6 on the offensive rebounds. against the Cavs last night. So we'll go through the numbers. We'll talk about what impressed me. Definitely the 3-point defense as well. Asparagus dogs for dinner. Okay. John.
God, John, what the hell are you doing?
John, are you telling me you take a hot dog and you wrap it in asparagus? Is that what you're telling me? John, in what world would that be good? Bacon, okay. Prosciutto, sure. Asparagus? I mean, what do you even top that dog with? Whoa. Unless you're going fancy, John, and you're gonna do like truffle shavings, goat cheese. That's weird, my man. It's a little bit different, John. You got a different diet, but hey, John, I will give you this. You look good, brother. That beard grows really well. Once you say, "Oh, okay, okay, that's the word." Okay, did I say it? Okay, Athena. Now that I know the word, I won't say the word. I appreciate that. Devin Carter showed some stuff yesterday that looked very promising. He did. He absolutely did. And that's where I look at, oh, Athena, it's in the sound drop. It's in the sound drop, Athena. My bad. My bad. You know what, Athena? All right, we'll get rid of that sound drop just for Athena. John, we're going to have to find you a new sound drop. All right? All right, John. Good. Doug Christie's going to have to find a way to continue to get Devin Carter into positions where he's more comfortable, where he thrives. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. The first example is getting him going downhill. When his momentum's going downhill, he's actually pretty quick with the basketball and efficient with the basketball as well. If you have him going slower, if you have him bringing the ball up with pressure on him, not as good of a situation. So I'm looking to see what the coaching staff will draw up with that. And certainly that'll be part of Devin's game that he works on during the summer. He's going to have to. And this team still needs to get a true point guard. So there you go. The fact that you thought of the King's Court is epic. Best name epic. Epic. That was weird. Best name ever, and no one thought of it until you. You know, there were a few, Athena, there were a few, and you might be gone. King's Court's out there. A couple of them were actually towards this team, but they weren't. And when I came up with it, I didn't know that those existed, number one. But there weren't a lot of people, or the people that had them, they weren't very active. Everything that I do has a meaning to it. So if you see something behind me, it's not just random. It means something to me. There's a reason it's behind me. The name of the King's Court is very specific. It has an inside meaning to me. So, yeah, appreciate that. Thanks for the love. Talking about Coach Brown in general, once he was gone, especially. Athena was a gymnast. There you go. Hey, you know what, Athena? When I was 3, 4, maybe 5, my parents put me into gymnastics. Believe it or not, best thing they ever did. I didn't do it that long, but I credit that to giving me probably a little bit more athleticism than the good Lord blessed me with. So good for you. That's awesome. What's up, Nick? Happy to have you here. Doing roll call right now. Good to see you. Ryan, what's up, man? Good first name. Athena, Ryan was saying that Coach Brown resigned the thing that no, we figured out what it was. We figured out we got to get that sound drop out of there for Athena. Athena is a very valued member of this community, so I will respect that and drop that for sure. Orange chicken is the best. You know, I go back and forth on orange chicken. I'm either like in love with it or I'm like, not so much. Depends what Panda has on their other offerings. All right, we've done our roll call. We've got plenty to get to. We've got a phone call on the line, so let's bring him in. Who's it going to be? Yeah, I knew it was going to be that guy. It is Pete. What's up, big boy? What
Hey, bad boy.
you doing?
Nothing. Just chilling. Waiting for this game. I think it's gonna be a tough game. Uh, Seriously, I think. I'm not kidding. I think Bulls have a really pretty damn good team. I, I, I don't. I would not bet on Kings today because it's just gonna be a tough one. But besides that, Ryan, here's I have a concern, and I think all the fans have a concern
Hmm.
when we play JV, they do not run. They don't know how to pass the ball inside. Almost,
Hmm.
it seems so basic, and it seems so like primal. Like you just pass the ball inside. Let the big man that does all the work. Let him touch the ball even a little bit because he's the one that feels the inside. He's the one who's feeling all the bodies, and he's the one who's bodying everyone up. You want to give them like a feel for the ball. Just let them touch it. But it seems like they just don't know how to freaking pass the ball inside because if you watched yesterday after halftime, many people in the chat were saying like, "Hey, like I was saying the same thing. Pass the ball inside to JV, and then you see JV's a really good passer. He will back a guy up. It's
Yeah.
not that he's gonna shoot every single time. He will just look for the cut. If you just see him, his eyes are just like moving across the board, and he's just like looking to see like he's gonna be like he's like I'm gonna back you up, and it's like someone cut, someone move, and I will pass you the ball. But they just don't know how to bring the ball into him. And I wish they would just sometimes when the sorry, I'm kind of like rambling,
No,
but
you're good.
sorry, I'm kind of like rambling, but sometimes when yesterday threes were falling, but they're when JV's in the ball game, and when sometimes the threes stop falling, and let's say we have a 10-point lead and someone is catching up to us, kind of like what yesterday happened, when you want to slow down the game, just drop the ball inside and be like, hey, it's okay. Slow the game and just, you know what, move the ball inside, like move the ball up the court fast, have 17 seconds on the court on the shot clock, move the ball inside, and then have JV double teamed, and then have him distribute the ball, and then slow the game down. Just because when the 3 point is falling, it's great. But I'm saying sometimes you might have like a little, like a little stretch where something's not working out. So like slow the game down, drop it into JV, let him like slow it down, just drop it down there early, and then have him push the ball out, see the cuts, or he can shoot, and just have everything kind of like calm down and relax. That's
So,
what I think.
so do you want that across the board, or do you want
No,
that
I
just in certain
I
situations?
I, I think when the three is not falling, and then when we start to panic, like let's say we have a 12-point lead, and then the team has a run, and then we instead of jacking up like jump shots, just slow the game down. Just drop it down to JV and kind of slow the game down. Just watch the like play the play clock. Get up the court early, drop the ball inside to JV, have him back everybody down, and then either someone cut. I'm saying like when threes are not falling, when there's panic, slow it down by dropping the ball down low to JV,
All
and
right.
then slow like get everything organized, chill out, everyone relax, let JV cook inside. he gets some touches or he ditches the ball and like outside, just slow the game down. You don't have to run nonstop. Sometimes when the ball is not falling, just slow down. Hey, it's okay. Like relax.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
chill.
it's okay. Yeah. But anyway, I love you, buddy. Hey.
Love you too, brother. All right. Good stuff from you. Thanks, PK. I get what PK is saying. Number one, I think slowing it down in certain situations makes sense. Conversely, I think this team plays better when it's hectic, when it's fast. The difference that I see, and to PK's point about getting it into JV doesn't always get the best advantages in the half court when he's posting up. If we're talking about a half court set where the Kings are walking the basketball up, JV sometimes is getting pushed out a little bit further than I would like to see. Now, conversely, the guys on the perimeter are also getting tunnel vision where it's like we got to get it into him whatever we have to find a way, and they just focus on trying to get it to JV, and maybe it ends up being a bad pass, maybe it's a swing and then a hockey pass back to the same guy and then trying to get it to JV, and now the shot clock is at 8 and JV. There was a play last night specifically where they did that. JV finally gets the ball and the shot clock's down to like 6, and the commentators are like, shoot, you got to shoot, JV, you got to get a shot up, and it ended up being a shot clock violation. The best JV to me is in transition. He gets down the court and creates an advantage. He will plant himself in the paint and give guys really good passing lanes. But the one thing I don't really like seeing a lot of with JV, PK, is when they've got him out on the perimeter where he's no threat. And when I mean no threat, he's not setting a pick. He's more or less doing the DHO, which is the dribble handoff. And you don't have to guard JV from beyond the 3-point line. He's not a big 3-point shooter. So it's kind of an easy guard for the defense. Now, if he's setting a pick and roll and he's going to be the roll guy, that's a different story. So I would like to see the Kings put JV in places on the court where he's always a threat. I hate to see players that are put in places where they're no threat to the defense, because then it's 5-on-4. You don't have to worry about that guy. So I get it. Good job. Look, growing pains. They're going to have to learn how to play with him. And he is much different than Sabonis. Not worse than Sabonis, different than Sabonis with the style of their game. So let's go back to the phones. We'll keep talking about, dropped off. All right. No more phone calls. Somebody got scared. They're like, no, I don't want to talk to Rhino. Or maybe they just thought that their take was going to be way better than anything I had, and they didn't want to ruin the show. I appreciate that, whoever you are. So getting back to last night, getting back to this one, a couple of things. Obviously, Devin Carter. Incredible game, incredible moment with the dunk by Devin Carter. He had a play a couple of nights ago that was similar, where he went up to dunk and he just lost handle of the ball. He tried to cup it. And so good aggression, tone setting play. You have to worry about him at that point. There we go. This guy always makes the show better. Dirk, what's up, man?
Hey, man. Just checking in. Talking about the Bulls tonight.
Let's talk about him.
Yeah. So just looking at their stat line lately, it looks like they have a lot of balanced attack. Meaning, look at like who's scoring and how often they're scoring. I'm just kind of intrigued by this. I think the Kings will probably prefer to play defense against teams where they have one isolated scorer who puts up 30 a game, because they can usually contain one guy and force other guys to get it done. But this is an interesting game, just because I have no idea what the Bulls are anymore. It looks like Kevin Huerter is shooting some threes fairly consistently again.
Yeah, he's playing pretty good.
So who do you think performs, like, considering their averages, Who do you think performs better tonight? Do you think Zach LaVine or Kevin Huerter performs better?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because of the Kings' struggles shooting or guarding the three ball, I know they were really good at it last night. I'm going to say Kevin Herter.
I mean, I don't know who on the team maybe wasn't a big fan of Kevin's. So I don't know. Like, has he ever? I'm trying to think of how he might have performed against Atlanta when we first got him. If he had a good game against the Hawks the first time we played.
You know what? I vaguely remember when they played in Atlanta, and I don't remember it being anything over the top. It's just Kevin's so familiar. He was more involved here in Sacramento than he was in Atlanta. He was in the starting lineup for a really long time. He's more familiar with what the Kings are going to do defensively, especially with who's going to be guarding him and what they're going to be asked to do. And one of the things when Kevin got traded, he came out and said, I need more structure. He fell into the same category as Davion Mitchell. He fell into the same category as some of these other guys that felt like they were the victims of not having enough structure. And he's getting a little bit of more of that with the Bulls, and he's getting more of an opportunity to be a contributor than really he did in the last year and a half in Sacktown.
I mean, the opportunity was there, just because something isn't necessarily your ideal setup. Maybe you want structure. I have to think there's ways to find structure even in a free-flowing offense. It's just really like talking with your peers and saying, hey, where are you looking for me? Like, where do I need to be? If the DHO isn't it, where else can I get shots or having those conversations? But I don't know. It's somewhat of if he's making that argument, I think it's somewhat of a cop out, but because he had good shots, maybe not ideal shots. It is what it is. I don't think there's any bad blood on both sides. I mean, I think most Kings fans are waiting for him to get out the door, year two. So I'm curious how much they have Zach LaVine figured out on the Bulls, seeing him in practice every day, if he's going to get you 25 plus this game, because you'll need him to score tonight for sure.
You're going to need his points, but I also think that you're going to need Zach LaVine to fit in more with what the Kings did last night rather than last night's version of the Kings fitting into what Zach needs to do offensively. So whether that's Zach getting a little bit more up tempo, whether that's a tiny bit more ball movement, I think it needs to meet in the middle, because the numbers bear it out. When things slow down, this team struggles. And unfortunately, he's a part of that, but he has been, Dirk, I like how he takes it to the hoop. He's been getting some calls. I'd like to see some more of that at the very least tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are the same mindset on him, but it's where does that inspiration come from, where he finally dives in and does what we all want of him versus what he might default to at certain times. So who knows why that happens? Like why sometimes you see those cuts. I'm always fascinated with every cut to the hoop. He always goes for the reverse. He never does the arm side, but it's so effective for him. So
the other thing that he does a lot of is he declines a ton of screens. And then on the flip side of that, sometimes he wants screens in weird places on the court. I mean, he'll be near the half court circle and he'll call out for a screen, and Sabonis or Valanciunas or whoever, they'll wave it off and be like, no. So like I can't get a read quite yet on Zach's game and what makes him tick. Certainly scoring, certainly flow, but I don't. He's a hard one to figure out, Dirk. Usually we can get better reads, especially when we have this sample size so far.
Yeah, it is tough. I think one of the keys tonight is going to be containing Josh Giddey. Giddy's, I think the last game we played against the Bulls, Giddy had a better performance than I had seen from him.
Yeah.
And it's not letting him get easy buckets, like being able to contain him, I think would be critical, because it seems like when he gets going, he probably is distributing a lot and getting other guys going. But just some Jake LaRavia defense would go a long way here, I think, in this game. Hopefully he's better than whatever kept him out of last game. But yeah,
certainly.
I mean, dropping this one would hurt after they just came out and beat a team they have no business beating. So, yeah. Last thing I want to say is, personally, I've never felt super comfortable of how people have dismissed Devin Carter, but without any lack of evidence to really say, "Hey, this is why," you know. But
what do you? Okay, really quick. Define dismiss.
Well, there's been a lot of talk. You've had issues with his handle. Like I've not. I can't cite specific games where I've noticed his handle is the problem.
Yeah.
Aside from the rookie growing pains. One thing I think about Devin Carter that is a challenge for him, because one of his strengths is rebounding, but when he tries to rebound alongside like Sabonis or Valanciunas, they scoop everything up. And so there's almost some risk of injury at times because he's jumping in the same vicinity, and Sabonis will just get it over him. But when you go small, and I'm wondering if I'd have to evaluate, like, from Westbrook's perspective, like, how does Westbrook get rebounds alongside bigs that he works with? Like, well, he is such an effective rebounder, because I'm really interested in that specific skill. Just because I think it gives you a lot more chances at additional 3-pointers, especially in the offensive glass. But being able to turn this defense into offense quickly. I know PK was saying slow it down. I have the opposite mindset.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
Because this team, when they slow it down, they get really low quality shots. They don't seem to be able to get anybody open, and you end up going to the ISO game. It seems like we get a shot in the last 8 seconds. It's going to be DeMar DeRozan, or it's going to be Valanciunas. But when they're good, is that when they turn it up, especially in transition, they're just really effective at scoring generally. So, but we need to figure out ways to make it work on both sides. I think ideally you get this transition unit, this defensive group that comes out and puts pressure on. It gives you a good 4 minutes of high intensity basketball that can totally get a bunch of momentum going on your side. And then you can go to your isolation scores to try to maintain those leads. But I don't know, what's one thing you want to see offensively in the slow game? What is the opportunity we haven't found there?
I think Jerry Reynolds has hit it on the head numerous times. I want to see double bit. It doesn't have to be double bigs. It can be Keegan and Valanciunas. It could be DeMar and Valanciunas. In fact, I want to see them come up to the elbows and have a lot of cuts coming off of those elbows. We've seen some cuts where Valanciunas gets the ball in the post, and then they run somebody down the backside of the baseline, and then they circle really tight around Valanciunas and curl to the hoop. I want to see more of what kind of the Adelman / Coachy offense was, because I think you have the players to play it, and both of those guys, whoever it is, whether it is DeRozan, whether it's Sabonis, whether it's Valanciunas, all three can shoot the ball from the elbow. It's kind of the old Chris Webber thing, right? Why not bring those two bigs up and then have your guards cutting off? You can do pin screens, you can do flare screens from there, and that just naturally puts more pressure on the defense. Now, the objection to that, Dirk, is spacing. What will the spacing look like? This team has had a propensity to try to make very bad passes in small windows that just don't work. So I want to see something more along that line. I think it would work with this team, but I follow Jerry Reynolds. I believe what he says too. If he thinks it works, I think it would work too. So something like that. I'd like to see that much more than seeing Valanciunas 27 feet from the hoop doing a dribble handoff.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm always wondering why doesn't it happen? I think we saw a lot of Trey Lyles on back cuts, down into the hoop. He always hesitates to go up with it right away, which makes me nervous. But Keegan Murray, I think, would be he's like ideal for that role of just getting it down low. He's a quick jumper. He jumps high, can dunk it.
Yep.
And I can't believe that how limited his offensive game suddenly looks. He's such a chameleon at times. He seemingly attacks to get to the elbow and then stops and then backs it out. And where did that individual offensive game go? I mean,
I'm kind of seeing the opposite. Are you not noticing the step backs that he's been doing? Especially late in the shot clock, they've been effective more times than not.
I want him to penetrate personally and get inside because he's got the midi, right? But I feel like he has. I think he can get to a point where he's got late in the shot clock. You could get to him, and he could get into the paint for some kind of floater or something around the hoop. I'm baffled by how his post game and the 99th percentile in college just immediately is gone. There's like nothing there at all. And what I'm fascinated by, especially if this team is going to get, chopped up the way I expect it to be this summer, is just to see if he has.
They're going to get Dextered this summer. So what you're
something
saying?
like that. Like, I don't.
Monty
know if a couple
McNair
guys are going to be here, and barring some miraculous playoff run.
Monty and Wes Wilcox are laying out the saran wrap right now, all over the office.
I don't know who knows what's going to happen, but it feels like there's something understood around Kings reporters that things will be, maybe they know the direction the franchise is going and they don't necessarily like it. But
I don't. So Dirk, I don't think that it's anything. Okay, here's my read on the situation. And this is an educated guess. I want to be very, very clear here. I'm going to bring everybody back to the full screen so you can see my face. Based off of what I've heard, people I've talked to, what I've read, like all of you have read from some of the national reporters, Sam Amick, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN's had a couple of things. I don't know that it's so much that the Kings are looking to chop things up more than the Kings might, this is an educated guess, be expecting some pushback from some core members of this team. Sabonis, DeRozan. So the question becomes, and it's the $1 million question, which we talked about before any of the Fox stuff happened, was, does the organization try to get in front of it? Do they hit it head on? What happens there? But I would be shocked if we didn't hear stuff about Sabonis looking for direction, DeRozan not wanting to spend the rest of his career here. Yeah,
I think we can estimate it as a foregone conclusion that DeRozan probably doesn't want to stick around.
Right.
I mean, he wants to give it his best shot at winning a title. And I think the Kings need to respect that. And, his contract is semi-reasonable. I'm not sure exactly which team has a need for DeRozan that would be actively willing to trade him. I don't know, that team that's just rolling up, like they're just short scoring. Maybe the Magic would be interested in him. I don't know.
I think OKC would take him in a heartbeat. I think Houston would take him in a heartbeat.
See, OKC would be interesting because if you're trying to reset, I mean, they have a lot of draft capital they could give you theoretically if you want to trade for that. But does OKC need DeRozan? I don't really know. I mean, I don't know what their offense rating is, but it's it's a luxurious place to be in, I guess, where you're just like, hey, what can we get to fit this in?
100%. What about the New York Knicks? I could see the Knicks liking DeRozan.
I don't know. I mean, I don't much pay attention to the East, to be honest, but I'm just trying to figure out what this organization needs to do moving forward. Do you even want Sabonis if you're going to reset?
Well, to me, that is a much trickier conversation because I think Grant's been pretty clear about his take on Kings fans overvaluing players and sometimes undervaluing players. With Sabonis, I don't know. Like, if you put, and Grant uses this analogy all the time, if you put all 30 GMs in a room, I don't know how many of them would jump to have Sabonis as their center. Because although the hustle, the durability, the numbers, they all show up. All those boxes are checked. There's the other things, the rim protection. There is just you
The
have
mental
to
mistakes.
well, yeah, that has increased this year. It hasn't been like that in the past years. He used to just be a slow decision maker. He would make the right decision. Now it's been slow and sometimes bad decisions. But you almost have to have a little bit of a niche offense that is built around Sabonis's strengths. He's not a plug and play guy, in my opinion. And at his price point with this CBA, that's, that's a big number. Like I just I don't know what his value looks like. I think
But
that's a really tricky one.
yeah, so you're basically the trade market is you have young franchises that are bad that have maybe a star player or a player that they like. I look at Charlotte. All right, so they've never been able to win with Melo uh, or Lamelo. So would they be interested in a Sabonis trade to give somebody to pair with Lamelo and see how that works? I mean, those are teams that are willing to exercise that option. Maybe the Atlanta Hawks. What does that look like with Trae Young? Or I might be, my mind's a little off today. So, point being, you're not trading him to a team ready to compete for a championship because the lack of rim protection. You can just see the difference in the defense with Sabonis, with a guy who's a little bit taller. Just that inherent additional rim protection that you sacrifice with him off on the floor. And you've already seen Sabonis with a big, like paired with two bigs in Indiana. Like they got off of that. Indiana got off that. They seem to be a pretty smart franchise in their ability to compete. So
Yeah, but Jerry challenged you on that. You brought that up to Jerry on a roundtable a couple of weeks ago.
yeah, anytime I get a chance to talk again, I've got a buddy who's like he used to write for the Pacers, like not for the official, but he had his own blog and stuff. So I trust him.
Sure.
And he was telling me Sabonis will be your favorite player. A lot of exactly what he told me about Sabonis. Super hustler guy, but there's a ceiling on your team when he plays there, and it's like everything comes to fruition. So I trust that judgment. Why doesn't it work? I mean, you can only experiment so many ways. There's chemistry that has to exist. You can see it. Like this team just doesn't have a lot of chemistry, and I put a lot of that on Sabonis. Like, why can't you get Zach LaVine going? You guys can't work together and find that 2-man game because part of that's Zach too, right? Because Sabonis seemingly found it early with DeRozan. Remember earlier this season they had a great 2-man game going. Feels like they let that go.
I know, it's crazy. 100%. I don't know why that stopped. That was the whole thing about Malik Monk starting, and that's what shifted the offense. And then I partially kind of put it on Malik to a degree because he started doing this snake dribble way too often. And it took away the advantage more times than not that he was getting from that pick from Sabonis. And then the Levine factor, Zach comes in. I don't know how much that changed it in the spacing, but that was the bread and butter. That's when the Kings were playing their best. That's how they beat Boston.
I'm just like trying to imagine Zach Levine should be shooting a lot more threes for us. And it's a little baffling at times where he'll get the ball off the catch and he's open, but he won't shoot it. Like he'll first step in and do a step back and then shoot it. It's this fascinating thing. I mean, you have to trust that the guy that shoots at that percentage has his reasons for why he's doing these things. But
Yep.
Where do you ideally want the ball, and how can we get you in? Like, what are your 3 spots, Zach, that you want to shoot these threes? And let's just design situations to make that happen and make the game easier for him. Like, you have to have guys that take on the mental aspect of the game, the cerebral players who are like, especially if it's open flow offense, like this is where you guys are going to be. And when the defense comes, I'm going to dissect it. And it's your job to just be where you're supposed to be in these situations. And I mean, we clearly don't have that point guard that can make that happen. But there's just something interesting about this team. Is just like such a wild card team. They're just all over the map. Like I was ready to be done with the season last week, and it's then they're able to gut out these victories. It's just like so hot and cold right now.
Honestly, it's been that way since 22-23. The further away we get from that playoff year, the more and more it looks like that playoff year was an outlier, an aberration.
But I've always felt they're not smart, right? I think guys like Sabonis is prone to make mental mistakes. I'm trying not hark on him specifically, but there's been a push. Sometimes people say, like Will Z had an article, they need to go to Sabonis in the clutch. And I'm like, dude, I could not disagree with you more in this circumstance, but
I love Will. Will's good, dude.
I'm a fan too, but it's like clutch and Sabonis historically, does not work. Like,
well, there's a reason that it's Will Z stats. Will loves him some stats, and that is what he is looking at. If the stats tell him you go to Sabonis, that's what he's going to put out there.
Yeah.
So, hey, Dirk, I appreciate the call, brother. Good stuff, my man. Yep. Well done by Dirk. Look, this hot cold notion is nothing new. And since the All-Star break, I shared this stat last night, I believe on the post game and on the roundtable. The Kings have won 7 games since the All-Star break. They're averaging their wins, those 7, they're by a margin of 17.9 points. In those wins, they're averaging 29.6 assists and 12.9 turnovers. The Kings have lost 6 games since the All-Star break. Their average margin of loss in those 6 games, 17 points. Their assists in those losses, 23.8. Turnovers, 16.0. That's it. It's does the ball move or doesn't it? If the ball moves, it's a better basketball team. They're hot. If the ball doesn't move, they're cold, and it's a bad basketball team. I mean, quite honestly, yeah, go Flores, you're funny. Quite honestly, name me another team in the NBA that is successful with ISO in today's NBA. Name me one. There just isn't one. And Jay, I saw your comment, dude. The Lakers are not trading for Sabonis. 0 chance. Jay, 0 chance. No chance. The Lakers are trading for Sabonis. Not going to happen. You think you're trying to get a Sabonis and Luka pairing? They're looking at the future and phasing LeBron out. The size just doesn't make sense to me there. But anyways, hey, Rock, if you're still here, my man, I will give you my personal cell phone number and we will get this thing figured out. Because I know that unless you did something on one of Grant's shows that I'm not aware of and he blocked you, I know that you have not been blocked by me. Now, what can happen, I want to be super clear about this so everybody understands. What sometimes happens is on the post-game show, we get people that we have some hard lines, right? Like if you start bringing up our family members' names, you're probably going to get blocked, right? That's fair, you know? And then we've got people that are just knuckleheads that just come in to talk crap and get out. Okay. But what happens is the chat moves so fast that if we go to block somebody, and by the way, the person that's doing the majority of the blocking is Grant, because he's looking at it closer than I am. He's got his phone in front of him where he's looking at the comments. Sometimes you can accidentally get chosen. Like he goes to click somebody else and it accidentally clicks your name. So, Rock, I don't want to lose you as your viewer, brother. Really appreciate you. You're a good contributor. So we can get it figured out. Send me an email, rhinoinsacktown@gmail.com. Send me an email. I will figure it out for you. That goes for anybody else that thinks they might have been wrongfully blocked. Kim, don't hit me up and be like, oh, I was wrongfully blocked. Hell no, Kim. You know what I'll do? I'm going to start laughing like a if you say that you were wrongfully blocked. Get out of here, Kim. So here's what I wanted to pose today. Check out this beautiful graphic. I'm so proud of this graphic. Are you ready for the graphic? Athena would have liked this one too. Too bad she's gone. Okay, balancing test. The good old teeter-totter. Last night, we saw the ball move. We saw defense turn into offense. We saw 7 guys in double figure scoring. I don't expect that to be the standard every night. That's not going to happen every night because the Kings are not going to be scoring 120, 130 points a night. But here's Doug Christie's problem. You've got Sabonis, who's in the middle, who can play some defense, tough, rough, right? Right there in the middle. And then you've got, and I kind of feel bad having Monk at the bottom of the teeter-totter because he does play decent defense when he's on the court with some of the guys at the top of the teeter-totter. But how do you balance this out if you're Doug Christie? How do you get this teeter-totter to balance? Because when the Kings go far too heavy on the offensive lineups, we see the slow starts, right? Conversely, if you go with that offense, the defensive group that's at the top of the teeter-totter, sometimes you might have trouble scoring. So where is that mix? I think that is Doug Christie's biggest job over the next 15, 20 games leading into the play-in. Y'all hear that? There's a duck outside my window. That was not a sound drop. Listen, can you hear that? How about that? A duck dropping by the King's court. Anyways, what does Doug do? And is there a way, let me ask you this. Is there a way that you can intertwine some of these guys that we're talking about that are defensive guys that turn defense into offense to help bring the starters' minutes down? What do you do? So I'm going to leave that up. Think about that. Let's hear from Doug Christie after last night's game. A lot of love for Devin Carter.
Fantastic fight. In the first quarter with 2 minutes, I think it was 20-7. And, you know, you can fold up the tent or you can continue to fight. And that's what Sacramento Kings basketball is all about. It's you bring that every single time. Your people love you for it, and they respect you regardless of the outcome. You want the win always, but the first step in the process is to be consistent with your approach, your professionalism, your aggressiveness, your physicality, all the little things that ultimately equate to a win. You have to be consistent with it. Big time performances across the board. DeMar, spectacular. Keegan, just loved what he continues to bring defensively. Keon knocking down some threes. Malik was great. Devin Carter, welcome to the damn NBA. Big time, big time, big time. So excited and proud for him. Trey, big time rebounds. Jonas holding us down, Markel coming in and giving minutes, Isaac. I mean, just across the board, everybody that came in the game contributed, and that's ultimately all you can ever ask. So, super excited for them to compete against some of the best talent in the league and fight the way they did.
Carter, you kind of mentioned it. Would you call this his coming out game, and what would you say about his performance tonight?
Yeah, I think that Devin brings the physicality, the swagger, the confidence, all the things that as a coach, well, I just speak for myself, like that I expect out of my team. There's a calmness and a competition in him. My grandma used to say, still waters run deep, and he brought it big time.
He definitely brought it indeed. In fact, everybody talking about the big third quarter. The Kings at one point over a 6-minute span went on a 28-6 run. Within that run, there was actually a 19-2 run that I really liked. But it was the balance of the third quarter that I want to talk about. I'm going to read you some numbers. Keegan Murray in the third quarter, 3 for 3 from the field, 2 of those being 3-pointers. Valanciunas, 4 for 7 from the field. Keon Ellis, 3 of 3, 2 of those being 3-pointers. Devin Carter, 3 of 4 from the field, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. The Kings shot the 3 ball in the third quarter at a 70% clip. Cleveland, the best 3-point shooting team in the league, was held to 33% in the third quarter. More impressive than that, they are 4th in the NBA at 3-point attempts. The Kings only allowed them 6 3-point attempts in the third quarter. That is the quarter where the game turned around for the Kings. That is when the Kings knew that they could win, and that is when they gave the crowd that crack, that defensive hustle, the diving on the floor, the play that Keegan Murray made to get on the ground and then make a beautiful pass from his back, an outlet dunk. That is what did it. Here's the other thing, too. The Kings last night were +6 on the offensive boards against the Cavs. +6. You don't see that every single night against the Cavs. And points in the paint. This was so interesting to me because in the first half, the points in the paint, the Kings were getting killed by the Cavs. They only had 10 points in the paint in the first half. By the end of the game, the Kings ended up with 48 points in the paint, meaning they scored 38 points in the paint in the second half alone. So good stuff there. We got a call on the line, which we'll get to in 2 seconds. First, Malik Monk had some stuff to say about last night. Always love when Malik speaks his mind candidly.
In terms of what you guys were able to accomplish with being shorthanded?
They're number one team in the NBA, right? Probably number one then. Yeah, especially being shorthanded. Domas, Zach, Jake. Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big win for us. We got one tomorrow, though.
What was the key to being able to kind of do what you did while shorthanded?
Moving the ball, staying together, knowing the defensive end, we got to do it together. It ain't going to be one person. And, yeah, we stuck to the game plan.
How big was Devin Carter tonight?
Huge. He was one of the reasons he won the game. I think this is his best game so far as a pro. So, yeah.
You can't do it. You can't do it. Look, when okay, One of the trademarks of this front office under Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox has been liquidity. It's been flexibility. It's not having a bad contract. The Kings now have a bad contract with Zach LaVine. A contract where Zach LaVine also has a player option, not next year, but the year after for like $48 million. So what the Kings did was they gambled on Zach LaVine for two reasons. He was able to stay healthy for the first part of this season, and he played really well in Chicago. But they gambled that coming to Sacramento, he would stay healthy still, but he would basically become that guy that is playing to his contract. His contract would become an asset again. Maybe even it would become a really good contract if he was playing at an all NBA level. That's not happened yet. So you now have that bad contract on the book. You're not going to be able to trade LaVine for Reeves because of the money. And no chance. And quite frankly, the performance, my guess is, and I'm probably going to piss some of you off, I'm going to go back to the GM analogy. If you put 30 GMs in a room and you said, would you rather have Zach LaVine or Austin Reeves, and you take the money away from it, I would say the majority of the GMs would choose Austin Reeves. Because of the style that he plays, younger, can play with big personalities, doesn't need the ball all the time, but still produces at a high level, clutch. I would take Austin Reeves over Zach LaVine. I would. Tell me how you feel about it. Malik Monk still.
Kudos to Devin.
Does he get out of rookie duties for a performance like that?
Hell no. Hell no.
No.
Hell no.
What about the dunk though? Rating wise, where does that rate on?
That was up there. That was up there. Yeah, about an 8, 9. Yeah, that's up there. That's up there for sure. Because he took out far.
What's impressed you most about him?
What's up, baby? You good? Yeah.
What's impressed you most about him? Just even in these, I mean, he's obviously been a contributor in some of these games leading up to tonight. Obviously.
How well he is in the passing lanes. How his anticipation on defense is great. I haven't seen that since Keon. Not saying he up there with Keon, but I haven't seen that since Keon came. And yeah, that's been great.
And then once again, DeMar DeRozan in the fourth quarter. I mean, what's it like to witness that?
We know what he's going to say about DeMar. Malik did talk about the importance of getting this one tonight as well, beating Chicago, and also Kevin, his boy, returning back to Sacramento. We've got a couple calls on the line. Let's get to them. Also, going to give you a little bit of a nostalgia here in a little bit. Going to follow up on what we were talking about last post-game show. He's back for seconds. PK as well, beating Chicago.
Hey, buddy.
What's up, dude?
Also, hey, you know what? Listen.
Hey, PK, turn me down in the background, please.
Dude, it's like I have like 4 computers over here. But okay. Listen, McNair is not forgiven for the fact that he screwed up the preseason. You know, like he's trying to cover his ass by like covering his job at the trade deadline. He brought us JV. He could have brought us JV preseason. He was available from Washington. He had all these like he could have done this preseason. The reason we lost Coach Brown, now we have Doug Christie. The whole thing is because of McNair not preparing this team for the season. The bench was completely naked when we started this year. And now this is like in this situation, when does Sabonis contract expire, Rhino?
27, 28.
27, 28. Okay, so if he doesn't want to be here, he might want to move if he wants to, right?
Well, that's where I was talking about what is his true value. I don't know if you went to trade Demonis Sabonis today with this remember, his contract was signed before this new CBA went into effect. Like, you can only have one or two guys on your team that have this type of money on the books, because if he goes to a different team, all of his salary is going to be against the cap. Now, if the Kings re-sign Keon Ellis to I'm throwing out a crazy number here,
Right.
$100 million contract, because they're re-signing their own free agent, that money doesn't go against the salary tax or the luxury tax. So in that sense, you see teams that have multiple players that have big contracts. It's because they were their own free agents. They're homegrown. But with Sabonis making next year 43, the year after that 46, and then the
Okay.
year after that 49.9, I don't know that you would get fair value for him back.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, okay, we know that Zach is stuck.
Stuck.
He's stuck like glue with us.
Yep.
Right? Like, we can't move him, and Bulls are like laughing at us because they were able to get rid of this contract. They're like, some dummy is gonna take Zach Levine, and we took it. And hopefully he's pretty freaking good. Um, but if Sabonis is not happy, like, this is where the problem happens with me. If Sabonis says, you know what, I want to be gone, I want to be traded, you're gonna have to move him. He's gonna be like, if Sabonis is not happy to be here, if he keeps getting beat up, he's the one who's always like taking shots. He's the one like
Yeah, but PK, that's not going to change. That's going to happen wherever Sabonis goes. It's just his style of play.
okay, well, what if Warriors give him two first round picks and a second round pick, and they say, hey, bring him over here to the Bay Area?
If you get 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick from the Warriors.
Okay, let's say
I'm thinking about it. First, you got to think if they're unprotected, which they would have to be. Second, you got to see what years they are. Like, if they were 26, 27, 27, 28 first-round picks,
well, I'm telling you,
I would consider that, because
you would consider that. And also, if Sabonis says, you know what, I'm tired of this bullshit. I'm tired of being here. I'm tired of getting beat up nonstop by like no one's giving me support. I keep freaking getting freaking cut. I keep getting injuries. I'm in my prime right now, and I want to leave. What are you gonna do about it? I want to leave. What are you gonna do, Vivek? I want to leave. Trade me somewhere else. I'm gonna pick where I want to go. And you know where he's gonna go? It's gonna be Golden State Warriors.
Well, I don't want to future cast too much.
But
I think PK. I think here's where the line's going to be with Sabonis. It's not going to be about I'm getting beat up. It's not going to be about I'm not getting help. It's going to be about I don't want to spend the prime of my career in chaos in an organization that has no vision, that has no long-term plan,
Well
an
said.
organization that I don't even know, besides my coach, who I report to. Do I go to the GM? Do I go to the owner? Do I go to Jeremy Lamb? Do I go to Angeli?
Yeah.
You know,
my
that's
owner is
what's gonna
dancing
drive
on my owner is dancing around. There's Lamb that might be dating, and there's like all this drama. There's a beam. There's all this stupid drama. There's no coach. Christie's not a coach. Like, Christie's not like, let's be real. Christie like I feel bad for him because he's not going to be a coach. We're
Well,
missing a coach.
okay, but let's also remember this. There was a lot of talk about Sabonis and Brown button heads too. So you don't know where he stands with the
Yeah,
Doug
but
Christie thing.
butting heads with a head coach? Everyone butts heads with a head coach. When you don't butt heads with a head coach, then there's a problem. There has to be a general of this army. And then when there's some kind of like someone a motivator, I get that there's like motivation. And like when Christie says, "Don't talk to the refs," don't talk to the refs, guys. Hey, don't talk to the refs. I'm going to talk to the refs. And then a guy is getting freaking clipped underneath,
I
rolls his
agree.
damn ankle. The guy gets
Well, the
cut up.
the
No
ankles.
one, no one's calling fouls. Guys are frustrated, and he's like, you know what? Hey guys, I will handle it. You guys don't complain. It's like hell no. Listen, if someone smacks me across my face, if someone like steps in my three, or like someone like tries to like mess up with my money and messes up with my jump shot and my career, hell no, I'm gonna be pissed off. And you know what? Christie should be. This is not USA. This is not freaking Buddhist temple. This is basketball, and we have to compete now, and we have to freaking get this shit together. And I'm done. Thank you, Ryan.
Appreciate you, PK. That was more of a vent. That wasn't as much about Sabonis as it was a vent. I get it, dude. I mean, look, you basically summarized everything that De'Aaron Fox has told members of the media. It's a problem. Your franchise has very little credibility. The rest of the NBA looks at the way that the Sacramento Kings are run, and they see it as a 3-ring circus. Whether you want to admit it or not, that puts a stink on its players. You could be doing great things like Domantas Sabonis has been doing. Great things. And not get the recognition that you deserve. I get it. PK, that is the problem. That has been the big dude, nothing to be sorry about, but that is the overriding concern in this fan base. What the hell is going on? What's going on? Kings are the laughing stock of the NBA, though I support the Kings. That's what sucks, because I'm not kissing your tails. You all are the best and most knowledgeable fans in the association. To the point where I think sometimes this owner runs this Mickey Mouse small family business operation and takes advantage of that. This owner knows that this fan base is still going to show up. They're still going to be loyal. What this owner doesn't realize is it affects the back end of business, the most important part of business, which is basketball. It's owners saying, or it's agents saying, I don't want you going to play in Sacramento, my man. Stay the heck away from Sacramento. It means the cream of the crop, the top prospects for coaching jobs, for front office jobs, that are looking to make a name for themselves. Do you think they're going to want to go work for Vivek Ranadive? Do you think that helps their career? So what it does is it brings you candidates, and I'm not saying this is Monty McNair, or Wes Wilcox, but it brings you a different tier of candidates. It brings you a different tier of players. The guys that just want to get paid. The guys that are retreads. The guys that are yes men. The guys that are willing to sell their job for the money. Sell their soul. I'm not going to call Vivek I'm not going there. You know the saying. They sell their souls. Their professionalism. And what's that mean to all of you? It translates to these messes that we continue to see and will continue to see until this fan base gets through to Vivek Ranadive that they ain't cool with this stuff. It doesn't change. Not sitting here telling you to go start protesting. I'm not telling you to not go to games. That is not my place. That is not what I am saying whatsoever. What I am saying is I feel bad for you. I think it's very evident that this owner is very astute and understands how loyal this fan base is. There's a lot of other fan bases that would not be putting up with this. And on the flip side of that, there's a lot of other cities and the media in those cities that would not be letting Vivek slide under the radar. They would be seeking him out. They would be wanting answers. I give Sam Amick a hell of a lot of credit for writing the article he wrote. A ton. Oh, sorry, Athena. I'm sorry. Sorry, Athena. I give Sam Amick a ton of credit for doing that. That was not an easy article to write. You think that's received well in the building by everybody? No, it's not. So you got to think about it that way. So, all right. We got Tadora on the line. What's up, Tadora?
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm really good. Thanks for asking.
What time is it over there?
It's like 11 o'clock.
Okay, so you're getting ready for bed?
Well, yes, I was like, before this, I was talking to my friend and I was like, yeah, I'm going to talk into a show for first time.
Nice.
With my dad.
Did your dad know that you're doing it on your own?
Yes.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. Now, if you see, I'm in my room because every time when you see me, I'm in the living room. Now I decide to go in my own room.
Yeah, so Tadora, what is that behind you? Is it like a banner with all the different Kings logos?
Oh, yeah. I think I showed you one time. Yeah,
Okay.
I drew it by my own self.
Oh, you drew that?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And this up, that's just my favorite theory and nothing else.
Very cool. So how are you feeling about tonight? You think the Kings are going to beat the Bulls?
I'm sure in that. And I really want them to beat. But it happened something to me. I wanted really to see the game with how they played with the Cleveland. And I watched it on YouTube because I couldn't stay up late because I need to be in school like in 8 a.m.
Yes, school is important.
Yeah. So I watch it on YouTube, and every time Cleveland won, I'm an idiot. What am I saying? They got more points than us. I was like, no, why? And when Sacramento wins, I was so happy, so happy.
Heck of a win.
Yep. I said more time holy moly Zimbabwe because I was so happy.
Holy moly Zimbabwe.
We got you right there on the soundboard.
Yeah, and thanks.
So hey,
yep. So
go ahead.
Oh, thanks. So how I watched the game, I was really scared because every time somebody will get the 3-pointer, so I was like, when Sacramento get it, I was like, yeah, and when the Cleveland give it, I was like, no. So it was really scary for me. I didn't know what to do. I was just sitting on my chair and watched. I was like, come on. And when they need to get the 3 points, I was like, get it.
Love
So
it. So
yeah.
so all the guys in the NBA, most of them, they have their little subtle 3-point celebrations, their little signs. Do you have one? Like when the Kings make a 3, do you have a little 3-point sign that you make with your hands?
Hmm. I literally every time did this. Yes.
There you go. There you go. Well, hey, tell your dad thank you for letting you call. You are always welcome here. We had
Thank you.
somebody call last night, Rajan. He's 10
Oh,
years old.
here. I did hear. He told me. He
Yeah.
told me. Yeah.
So this is what it's about. It's the next generation. I love that you love basketball. I love that you guys are so passionate about the Kings, and we are so grateful that you are part of our community here on this channel.
Thank you. So, if I can say just a little bit, when we won,
You
I
know what?
was
Tedora, you
yes.
take over the show. It's your show. Go ahead.
Thank you. So when we won, I was so happy. But first, I thought we will lose because how my dad told me it's really hard to beat the team, Cleveland. He told me it will be really hard, but we won. So that was the happiness that got me when we won. I was so happy. I wanted to how can I now say? I wanted to cut to steal the no not not to steal. What am I saying? Just don't know what to say because I was too happy. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do from happiness. I didn't know should I jump, should I scream, should I do anything what I like. So it was really strange feeling, but in a good way.
I love it. I love it. All right, give me a live one. Give me a live holy moly.
Holy moly, Jimbo!
Boom, Tedora. Get some good sleep. Hopefully the Kings win. Hell, heck, I bet I will see you probably on the post game show at some point.
Sure.
You're the best. Thank you, Tedora.
Bye.
What can you say, man? It's so cool. All the way across the world, 11 p.m. It's all about the next generation. It's so cool. You know, so many bad things in this world sometimes. So many detractors, things that you could waste your time on, either watching, playing. And to see Tedora and others like Rajan last night, to have that love for basketball and putting that energy into an awesome place and looking Tedora get all the love on the channel as she deserves. There's a reason Tedora is on the soundboard.
Holy moly, Zimbabwe!
You know, Jerry Reynolds is actually on record saying that her Holy Moly Jimbaboli is better, believe it or not. So that's pretty cool. All right, we've talked a lot about the Kings last night, the balancing act that Doug Christie's going to have to do. If you are just joining us, Zach Levine is good to go tonight. Jake LaRavia still questionable unless that has changed here in the last few minutes. So we will keep our eyes on that. A Chicago team who also played last night. They're 6-4 in their last 10. It's two teams on the second night of a back-to-back. Can the Kings find something in the middle? That's all we're looking for. I'm going to put the graphic up one more time. We just need something in the middle. Give us a balanced teeter-totter. Give us a balanced beam. Not too much ISO. Not too much bad shooting. Just enough hustle, defense, and ball movement, and this team should win. Anybody have the Kings possibly 3-0 in the first 3 games of this homestand? None of Grant and I didn't. That's for sure. Yeah, Tedora is great, Charles. She is awesome stuff. So, and Tedora actually leads me into my next thing that I want to share with you. I'm going to reset this because Rajan called last night, and he is a 10-year-old Kings fan, which is super cool, by the way. And he had some very astute questions about the Kings. And it led us, and also Jeff from Texas called, and he showed a picture of his daughter and Grant. And he talked about the time that she called into Grant's show and had a great call. And all the callers loved it. And Grant ended up talking about one of his other callers, Ricky, and the different callers that have had effects on Grant throughout the years, and just the next generation, right? And putting the opportunity, putting the effort in, giving people the time to have that FaceTime with you, whether it's Tedora coming on this channel, whether it's Rajan last night, whether it's the thousands of times that some of you have met Grant, met Jerry, and they've given you the time. Grant showed a picture that this girl drew for Grant that said, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. And Grant transitioned into a story about how one of his contacts, and remember, East Coast, Grant grew up listening to Marv Albert. One of his contacts was able to get Grant 5 minutes with Marv Albert, set up a meeting with them. Maybe it was more than 5 minutes, but it was able to get Grant a sit down with Marv Albert, and the impression that it left on Grant. And remember, Grant knew that he always wanted to do this. He was calling pickup basketball games in elementary school and reserving the court at assemblies. He was doing hockey play-by-play without a game in front of him for the entire school. And so it led me to my moment. A lot of times people ask, where'd you come from? What are you doing, Ryan? How did you get here? And Grant and I share things at times. I've talked about it on some of my other podcasts. This is something that I have always wanted to do. I've been blessed to have played basketball pretty much my entire life, at least through all of my schooling. Been blessed to be around professional athletes, be around other people that have been in pro sports, personalities here in Sacramento, coaches, etc. And on January 6th, 2017, I got the opportunity. So 2 guys growing up for me. It was Grant locally, and it was Jim Rome nationally. I'd been listening to Jim Rome since 2003, 2004 is when I really started listening to Jim Rome, and I was introduced to Jim Rome by my dad. My dad listened to Romey. He was a clone. And I had never participated in the show, but Jim came to Sacramento, and I found a way to wiggle my way into the studio. He did his 3-hour show here from Sacktown from 1140. And during that show, he asked if anybody wanted to come talk about the Kings. And so his producer, who I ended up getting to know very well, Adam Hawk, pulls me aside and he's like, what do you want to talk about? And by the way, nobody raised their hands in that room. Nobody raised their hands. There was 50 people in the studio. Nobody raised their hands. They were too scared to go up, not only to be sitting next to Rome and doing a segment with Rome, but it's going out to 200 different countries, United States, Canada. If you're familiar with the Jim Rome show, then you know how the clones are. You could easily make one little misstep and you are going to never live it down within the confines of the jungle. So I'm the guy that puts my hand up. Like, all right, I'll do it. So Adam asked me, what do you want to talk about? I couldn't get 2 coherent words out of my mouth. I joke you not. Train wreck, babbling. I'm speaking in tongues. And I'm thinking there is no way in the world that Jim's going to bring me up on the show. And this was during a commercial break. Jim bumps in from commercial. And he's like, hey, you, right there. You, hey, get up here, man. Come here. Come up here. I want to talk to you for a second. I want to rap with you. This is what ended up happening.
How did you end up in Sacramento? Were you a Kings guy?
Huge Kings guy. Actually grew up here in Sacramento. Grew up going to games when Mitch Richmond, The Rock was playing, Wayman Tisdale, all those guys. Been here through the thick and the thin, good and the bad. 2002 was rough, obviously, Sacramento. But we're bouncing back, like what Vlade's doing. Looks like they're trying to kind of build that 2002 team again. Got Garrett Temple as a hustle guy, like Doug Christie. Got DeMarcus as the big man that can pass. You got only thing we're missing is a shooter.
Yeah, and that's something you might be able to get up at the trade deadline. You know, you mentioned 2002. If you're in Sacramento and you were here for 2002, at the time it hurt. It hurt, but you figured, man, we got jammed. It should have been ours, but we'll be back. And then you come to find out nothing's guaranteed. You might not be back. 2002, is that something that really sticks with the folks here? I mean, is that something you never really get beyond?
I think this town's never got beyond that.
Right.
To be honest with you, that was rough. I mean, I think the big one for us was the shot, Game 5, when it got tipped out. We worried a little in Game 6. We got the bad calls on Bibby towards the end of the game. But that Game 7, that was just a heartbreaker.
Man, you were talking about it. You talk about it like it's yesterday. That's how much that still hurts. That was 2002.
It still hurts. We still got the videotape in the house.
All right, so for those who don't know, I mean, there's Sacramento Kings in this house right now, but when that team had it going back in the day, and you mentioned some of the guys, you had Mitch Richmond, Wayman Tisdale, I had the sound from Chris Webber, Jason Williams was here, Vlade. Man, it was so good. It was so good. What was it like to be in this town when that team was rolling like that?
It was incredible, to be honest with you, because it just happened organically. You know, we were pretty rough. We were bottom of the barrel for a while when Mitch and all those other guys weren't here. But when that team came in with Jason Williams, there's a little bit of charisma. They traded him to get Mike. Everybody was a little skeptical, but I'll tell you what, I don't know what you guys think, but I've never seen chemistry like that in the NBA.
Never. Except Golden State right now. You got guys that can shoot it, that don't mind sharing the ball, and they don't care who the guy is. They're not reaching for a stat sheet. They're all about the team. But that's how the Kings were back in the day, and I think that's how Golden State is right now. All right, so what about that new arena? The shiny new Golden One. What's it look like? What's it feel like?
It's absolutely incredible. Beautiful architecture, state of the art. Really cool. Pays tribute to Sacramento. They got the Tower Records sign in there. All local restaurants. Food sourced about, I think, 100 miles from the arena. That's the only stuff in there. It's our palace, you know. The Kings fans, you know, I think if you ask most of them, it would be more important to be at the last game at Arco than the first one at Golden One. Because that was.
Hey, bro, you treating this like an audition for a radio job? What's up, man? Dude, you sold it nicely, man. My man's comfortable. Listen, Ryan, one more thing. For those listening, you know, we've got 200-plus radio stations. We've got listeners nationwide. We have listeners in Canada. Is there something you want the rest of the world to know about Sacramento that maybe they don't already know or understand?
Don't count us out.
As a town or as a basketball team or both?
Both. This town is full of hardworking folks. We might not have the big high-rise buildings. We might not have all the media and the culture that goes around in the big cities, but I'll tell you what, there ain't nobody that works harder than Sacramentans.
Yeah. Keeping it real. My man Ryan, dude, way to go. It's not easy to pull a guy out of.
So that was it. That was it. That was my moment with Romy. And ever since, I've been blessed to be a part of his show. Not a come on and talk about the Kings like an interview, but a personality on the show. This was also the moment, by the way, for me that decided I was going to give this a try. This is what I want to do. This is what I have always wanted to do. Now, what you don't know is Peja was in the room. Vlade was in the room. Uriah Faber was in the room. They were all parts of the show up until that point. You know who else was scheduled to be a guest on the show? Hour 3, Napes. Those that don't know, Grant commonly used to guest host Rome Show a lot, a ton. And so Jim called me out because I was wearing my Seahawks gear, right? So Grant shows up, says his pleasantries to the guys in the room, right? Vlade says hi to Jim, says hi to Adam, the producer, does his segment, comes off of his segment, and he beelines for me. And he comes up, shakes my hand, and he said, he goes, I was listening to you on the way in to the studio, and I just need to tell you, you did an incredible job of representing Sacramento. And we took that picture, and that's where it started. So that was my moment that lit the fire in my belly to make a change and get into this and try to do this as a professional. So seeing Tedora, seeing Rajan, seeing all of these and hearing all of these different stories that we get to hear on the post-game show about people that have met Jerry, people that have met Grant, the impact that it's had on them. You never know. You never know what something is going to mean to somebody. And that was it for me. Like, that was it. And here we are today. And I have a chance. I have a show on Grant's platform. I get to call him my partner on the post-game shows. And it's pretty damn cool. I don't take it for granted. And that's why seeing our Tedoras, our Rajans, all of you, Jeff from Texas's kid, that's what it's about. Everybody gets that moment. Be ready for it. That's the best advice I can give you. Be ready for your moment. So I get the question all the time. I see it in the chat. How did you get here? That's where it started. So really cool stuff for me. And thank you for allowing me 10 minutes to humor you with that and give you that backstory. Don't forget, this is just the start of today. We've got pregame coming up 6:15. Kings, Bulls. Will Laravia be able to play? We'll dive into the numbers, give you the keys to the game, and get you ready for tip-off halftime. Jerry will swing around, let us know what he saw in the first half, tell us what to look for in the second. We'll get some score predictions, and post-game, we'll be taking your calls, hopefully talking about a 3-0 start to this homestand. So looking forward to it. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Again, that's why I always say it's not lost on me that we're building this community. It's exactly what it is. It is a community. I love seeing all of you interact with each other and getting to know each other and really galvanizing around a common interest, something that is special in all of our lives, and that is this basketball team here in Sacramento. So appreciate you. Be back 6:15 tonight. Kings Bowls pregame show. We'll get your calls up, and we will hopefully get you ready for another beam, another Kings victory. Sure would be nice. That would be very nice. Coach Christie, break us down.
That's big time shit. Together on three, y'all. 1, 2, 3. Together.
Go Kings. Light the beam. Court is dismissed until 6:15.